Hey, good afternoon. It's Kami Butterfield. I'm going to wait here just a couple of minutes to let people get started and get coming into the video. I'm not going to be able to answer a lot of questions during the live video, kind of like how I used to do it when we were doing the Periscope videos. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you some basics today. And I'm going to take you through a 5-week series on the different things that I use Classkick for and why I use it and why it's so important to use Classkick in your classroom. A lot of people ask a lot of questions about how is it different from Seesaw? How is Classkick different? How is Seesaw different? Should I use both of them? So in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be telling you about that. But what we're going to be talking about today is just the basics. And I'm going to show you in less than 10 minutes because I want to be able to show you different things about just the basic parts of the app, and then we're going to go as far as and how would you use this in the pro version. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to flip this around. Let's see. It's been a while since I've done this, but like I said, this is very different than Seesaw. And next week it's going to be all about comparing Seesaw to Classkick. So one of the things that I use Classkick for, it's very, very easy to use. All the work is saved. I watch the learning live, or if I'm at home, I can watch it then. I can crop what I need. I take out different pieces of lessons from the things that I have downloaded on TPT. I customize my lessons so it's everything that I know that my students need. I also do a lot of text-based evidence where the kids have to go back into the stories and find things. What I love about it the most is it is such a paper saver when it comes to science and social studies projects, because I can put it in just like a slideshow and I don't have to spend my time at the copy machine. But the biggest thing that I use this for is I can assign different assignments to my students from home, and I can watch from home. But say, for example, I am at conference and I can't get back home, or there's been a snowstorm and I'm stuck at an airport, I can actually create my lessons for my students to join in on, and they can jump on, and I can send that to a sub, and then I don't have to worry about coming up with major lesson plans. I've got all my lessons stored onto my iPad. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you about today is when you're wanting to go paperless like I am, one of the first things that you're going to need to do is I no longer take all of my TPT products and I don't make copies of them. I stopped making copies of them. I started downloading everything that I own from TPT into my iBooks. And so I want to show you that, how I used to have, like, see, that's my bookshelf back there. I used to have binder after binder after binder of things that I had purchased off TPT. I no longer do that. And I absolutely love the fact that I no longer have to do that. So what I'm going to show you right now is what my iBooks library looks like. So flip it around. Okay, so here's my iBooks library. All I do is when I go to pick something from TPT, I just hit download and it downloads immediately to my iPad. And so what I do is everything is here at the touch of my finger, and then I have things like I have task cards that I can use and I can put right into my Classkick lessons. So it just makes it so easy for me to be able to share different things with my students, and I don't have to make copies of this. So what I'm going to show you is just a basic lesson that I have in Classkick on text-based evidence. So, for example, I made up these cards, and this is just something that I use with my students. On page 13, they go back into the book, and which sentence tells you that Olivia has a lot of money? You could actually just type this in, or if you had task cards that you wanted them to work on, you put the task right there, and then they have the ability to either answer it orally because they can hit the microphone, or they can type it, or they can write it. What I love about that, it is so easy for my students to be able to do. And it's not just one page. I can add up to as many pages as I want for them to go into. Now that's how I do text-based evidence. So what they can do on page 14, they can actually take a picture of page 14 and then add it right here, and then they could underline which sentence tells you that Sludge is feeling fine from the Nate the Great story, because they all have that book. Now, one of the things that I love the most about this is, I don't know how many times I've heard at a parent-teacher conference where the parent says, well, last night Jack read Harry Potter. Well, I have right here evidence that Jack read the Long O poem and was struggling with it. So when my students do this, it dates it. And so when it is dated, I can pull this up and say on March 25th, this is what Jack sounded like reading this Long O poem. So right here, I can give them any type of direction that I want. What I love about this is I can hit this, and I can also give them audio directions. Record yourself reading this poem, and then use the pencil and underline all the rhyming words. So I stop it and save it, and now it has audio directions. Someone asked me in the Classkick questions, how could I use this if I only have a certain number of devices? Well, you can use this because you could use it in centers. Say you only have 4 iPads, you could have, or 4 Chromebooks. You could literally just create a lesson and your students could hear your voice. You could be working with another group and they have this lesson ready to go. So because all they have to do is hit this. Record yourself reading this poem, and then use the pencil and underline all the rhyming words. So then they're going to record it again. Record yourself reading this poem. They have the same tools that I do. So if you want them to record their voice, they will record it, and I will be able to listen to this later. And again, I'll have them underline all the rhyming words. Then what I like about this is because I can make it however many pages I want. I can ask them particular questions. You could differentiate this. You could have a harder poem, but they can draw a picture that has as many details from the poem as possible, and then it can be turned in. Now, this is just using the basics of Classkick. I love being able just to use these tools that are right here at the top, but your best friend right now is this camera. Students in the 3rd grade know how to use that camera. So say, for example, we did a lesson the other day. I'm going to flip this on. We did a lesson on angles. So I asked them to find a right angle in the classroom. So my students, like we were doing the 4 different types of angles: straight, right, acute, and obtuse. And so they were hunting all around the room. I had the directions on each one of those pages: find an acute angle, find 3 right angles, find a straight angle. And they took pictures and gave their evidence of what they had been working on. And so that makes it different than a worksheet because they are getting to put their own input into that lesson. I'm going to find that lesson because I really want to show you how we did that. And I'm going to flip this. I'm sorry about that. So my students, when they went to find a right angle, it says find 3 objects with right angles. And so she found different things in the classroom. She made one. Oh, she actually found it on the carpet. She said that my laptop was a right angle. And so every student's looks different than everybody else's. So what I love about that is the fact that that camera and the audio can be used. She could actually describe what a right angle is in this by hitting that microphone, and she tells you exactly what a right angle is. This allows me, when I have the kids working, I can actually see them all working live. And so when they're all doing this, if anybody has a question on what they are doing, they could actually raise their hand, and I will see that live that they need help, which makes it just so nice as a teacher. If I'm not there that day, I can see everything that they're doing, which is just awesome to me because I can see everything that they're doing. So I'm going to erase that, and then I want to show you another example. What I want to show you is how fast I can build something that like I can build a bell ringer. This is a bell ringer from a couple of years ago. And this is how long I've been using this. I don't want Babe Ruth. I want the other one. There we go. So what I want to do is I want to show you that anything that I have on my camera roll that I have saved, I can put it into Classkick bell ringer. Bell ringers are how I started using this in the first place. I wanted 5 problems. I wanted an add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So when I had my students start doing bell ringers, I would usually do probably problems at a time. So the very first one says, correct the sentence. Bob is 6 years old. So they use their pencil, and I could even tell them that if I want to, and they correct the sentence. The next one is just a simple subtraction. The next one is a simple addition. This one is a perimeter problem. I could even add this. I can add the audio. Perimeter is adding up all the sides together. I stop it and I save it and I give them a reminder. So you can do this on each page, especially if you have kids that forget a lot. Then I have another simple subtraction. That's how easy a bell ringer is. So this is what I'm going to show you right now. We're going to do a bell ringer for my class tomorrow, and we're going to make it I always put morning math, and I always usually put the year. So we're doing a bell ringer from scratch. So I have 3 problems on here already. So I have 1, 2, 3 slides, and I can hit plus, and I know it's going to give me 2 more slides. This is how easy this is. You hit the photos. I'm going to put one thing in here about verbs. All I have to do is tap done. So I am going to let this pop up, and I can also give audio directions. I would like you to circle the verb that's in each sentence. Remember, a verb is an action word. So I stop it and I save it, and I save this audio right there, and I can also say I want you to use your red pencil to circle all the verbs. Okay, on the next slide, I'm going to pick this right here. And I need him to show me how to do 6 times 3 on a number line. My next page, I'm going to add just 1 problem. Maybe we're just working on doing the same similar problems, but adding a 0 to it. Then I'm going to do a multiplication problem. Like I said, 4 or 5 problems to start a bell ringer, and that's about it. I always just usually keep it to be right here in this. There are 16 ghosts, make groups of 4. So I could actually start one and do it for them just so they know how to do. I could also add that audio. On my last one, I'm going to put just a subtraction problem. Maybe I just want this one subtraction problem. I can crop it, and that's all I need to do. So right there, I hit done, and now I have a bell ringer. So that is that is kind of the basics of using Classkick. Absolutely love this tool. What I want you to do, you have a little bit of homework. I want you to go and just open up a Classkick. I want you to use the go through the student tutorial, go through the teacher tutorial, create your very first lesson of bits and pieces of things that you want your students to learn. I love this because I can cater it to whatever my kids are doing. So I want you to try this, but see, it is so different just by watching me do this little 10-minute snippet of how to use Classkick in the classroom. It is very different from Seesaw. Next week, we're going to be talking about how that Seesaw and Classkick are 2 very, very different apps. Creating one right now, I love it. That is perfect. They are 2 very, very different apps that complement each other. They're not in competition against each other. They should be tools that we use on a daily basis because we are cutting down on the use of paper in our classrooms. So I hope that you enjoyed this. This will be saved on my IGTV. And next week, about the same time, we're going to be talking about Seesaw and Classkick and how they complement each other, but how they are very, very different. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next Wednesday for another Classkick tutorial. Bye-bye.